Special video that goes out to Ray Comfort and Kirk Cameron with their plans to publish Darwin's Origin of the Species with their special introduction. I thought it would be appropriate to respond with a skeptic Bible study on creationism, as it's accounted for in the Bible. Now, this is an issue that divides the moderates from the fundamentalists. And for those of you moderates out there who say that this is just to be taken as metaphor, it's not a literal account, I'm not talking about you in this video here. I'll deal with you in another video. For right now, I'm talking about the people who think that this is a word-for-word account of exactly how it happened some 6,000 to 10,000 years ago. And let's start at the very beginning of the Bible. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth was without form and void, and the darkness moved upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day. And God said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters." And God made the firmament, and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament, and it was so. And God called the firmament heaven. That last verse, verse 8, could alternatively be translated to, "And Yahweh called the dome sky." The word firmament and dome are one and the same in the ancient Hebrew language, and the word heaven and sky are one and the same in the ancient Hebrew language. So what have we learned here so far? We've learned that there is a literal dome that makes the sky that's over the earth right now, and that there are waters that are above this dome. And any time that it rains, it's because Yahweh opens up one of these windows in the sky dome and lets the waters from the heaven down to the earth. I'm not kidding. See another video that I've done on the topic of weather as it's accounted for in the Bible. So, anyway, God's created this sky dome, or Yahweh's created this sky dome, and it goes on to say in verse 11 on day 3, "And God said, Let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind," yada, yada, yada. So Yahweh creates plants on day 3. Hold that thought when we review chapter 2. Verse number 14, "And God said, Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven, to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years. And let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth, and it was so. And God made 2 great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. And God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth." Okay, first of all, the sun, presumably the greater of these 2 lights, does not rule the day. It rather defines the whole concept. Second of all, you've divided day from night here, but yet Yahweh supposedly did this on day 1. Thirdly, the moon does not give off its own light, presumably the lesser of these 2 lights. It reflects the light of the sun. Fourthly, he made the stars also. It's sort of an afterthought. And it only makes sense if you think the stars are little lights in the sky dome. In fact, there are some stars that are older than our sun, and there are new stars that are forming all the time. And finally, it says very specifically in verse number 17, "And God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth." So Yahweh just picks up the sun and the moon and the stars and just goes right there up in the sky dome. So all this talk about the earth revolves around the sun, clearly that's not supported in the Bible. All right, moving on. Verse number 20, "And God said, Let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that hath life, and fowl that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven." So Yahweh creates the birds out of the water on day 5. And in verse number 24, "And God said, Let the earth bring forth the living creature after his kind, cattle and creeping thing, and the beast of the earth after his kind, and it was so." And verse number 27, "So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them." So on day number 6, Yahweh creates all the rest of the animals, and also creates man and woman at exactly the same time. Now there's a different account offered in chapter 2 of Genesis, and you can almost see the splice mark between verse 3 and verse 4 as these 2 separate creation accounts are rammed together without any segue or any attention paid to continuity. What's really interesting is that in chapter 1, the Jewish God is referred to as Elohim, which is translated in the King James Bible as simply God. It actually means God or gods. However, in chapter 2, from verse 4 on, the Jewish God is referred to as YHWH, translated in the King James Bible as Lord God. YHWH is typically pronounced Yahweh or Yehovah. Anyway, in verse number 4, these are the generations of the heaven and the earth when they were created, in the day the Lord God made the earth and the heavens, and every plant of the field before it was in the earth, and every herb of the field before it grew. For the Lord God had not yet caused it to rain upon the earth, and there was not a man to till the ground. So clearly Yahweh does not create plants before creating man in verse number 7. And the Lord God formed man from the dust of the ground and breathed life into his nostrils, the breath of life, and man became a living soul. And the Lord God planted a garden eastward in Eden. So first Yahweh creates man, then the plants. And then later on, the Lord God, in verse number 18, and the Lord God said, it is not good that man should be alone. I will make him an helpmeet for him. It actually says, an helpmeet for him, whatever that means. And out of the ground the Lord God formed every beast of the field and every fowl of the air. So in chapter 2 creates the birds out of the ground, whereas in chapter 1 created them before creating man on day 5 out of the waters. And every fowl of the air, and brought them to Adam to see what he would call them. And whatsoever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof. So clearly Yahweh creates the animals before creating woman, but after creating man in chapter 2. Verse number 20, Adam gave names to all the cattle and the fowl of the air and to every beast of the field. But for Adam there was not found an helpmeet for him. And the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept, and he took one of his ribs, and closed up the flesh instead thereof. And the rib which the Lord God had taken from the man, he made woman, and brought her unto the man. So, in other words, Yahweh creates the woman out of the rib, and apparently had not thought to create female counterparts for any of the animals too, because obviously he hadn't thought to create a female counterpart for man. Now, actually, if we study genetics, it is clear that women are the prototype and men are alterations on the female design. And I have a video link off to the side on that. But letting that go, the order of events in chapter 1 is that Yahweh creates plants, then the sun, then the animals, and then finally man and woman at the same time. And in chapter 2, Yahweh creates first man, then plants, then the animals, and then finally woman. So this book doesn't even agree with itself, never mind agree with what we clearly understand from science. Now in the next chapter, I'm going to talk about the Christian excuses for all these inconsistencies, and if time permits, deal with those who think of this as a metaphor.